Hi everyone, it's Hannah from Hannah's Decodes, and today I thought I'd just recap a little bit about what I talked about last week, and that was the Little Soul and the Sun, and that book is by Donald Walsh. I'm having really a big kind of problem speaking at the moment, but hopefully I'll get through it. So I read a couple of passages about this, which could be nice to go back and look at if you haven't already. And it's a nice little story about what could possibly happen after we die or pass over or whatever you like to call it. And I forgot to sort of point out a key component to the story, which is when we come in and we experience people, and like in the book said, we are to experience forgiveness. We have to experience something for someone to forgive us, something that's not very nice. So we have to experience something that's not very nice to forgive the person who was part of that experience or created that experience. So I don't think I mentioned that if we want to, if we don't forgive and we forget, and which we all do, and that's why in Buddhism we say we're often in this karmic cycle of going over and over and over things to really cement the lesson and learn the lesson, and then kind of recognize that we've learned the lesson or the teaching, whatever you want to call it, and then move on. So a part of that is forgiveness and loving that person. And forgiveness doesn't mean I forgive you and I think it's right and you should do that to other people, and you want to experience that kind of negative experience again. That's not what it is. It's just almost recognizing that person played a role in almost like the movie of life, and you're grateful for that experience and you feel you've learned from that and it's time to move on. And then I think my feeling is that helps us get out of that karmic cycle of having to come back and reconcile and refigure that relationship, so it's a lesson learned, so to speak. But what I wanted to talk about, so that's just recapping that little bit of the book. I wanted to talk about a walk. I often walk with my dog. Probably 4 times a week, and we go down to the beach. And my local beach, there's an area you can access that has a very long path to get to it, and then the path kind of gets more sort of rough. But this morning, so it was last Wednesday morning, and it's been so dark in Sydney, Australia. We are at the end of, or the beginning of autumn, but we still have daylight saving, which we have in summer, so the days are longer, and that's still happening at the moment, and it changes over next weekend. So I think let's go forward an hour. And so at the moment, when we wake up, really, really dark, and the sun doesn't come up until kind of just after 7 o'clock, I think, 7:10. For a moment, sorry. No, I think that's okay. Sorry, so back to the story. So it's really dark. So on these walks, I often arrive there at a bit before 7. I used to get there at 6:30, but it's so dark, pitch black, it's kind of almost a bit scary. So I arrived there with my big black greyhound, and his greatest joy in the world is to sniff things and wee on them. So it's kind of, he's often much slower than me, and in the dark I kind of wonder where he is, and kind of lose track of each other a bit. So anyway, this morning, last Wednesday morning, as the sun was coming up, it was this beautiful. The sun wasn't actually up, the light was coming up from the sun, and there was this beautiful red glowing sunrise, which was incredible. And then on the other side was this full silvery moon. And so I was walking down the dark path, just watching the light get lighter and the dark sort of disappearing. And the colors were all, I know there's particular colors at twilight, but this was with the pinky orange and golds of the sun and the silver of the moon. It was it's like nothing I've ever seen. So I was walking along just going, wow, the light's really interesting. And then you get down the end of one path and then you turn left. And from that path, there's actually, it's just like old dirt road with rubble and stuff. But on either side, there's some native bush, but closer to the pathway, there's lots of wild, probably describe it here as weeds, fennel. And all the fennel is flowering at the moment. So the smell is amazing. So first thing in the morning, I think the smell's really coming up out of the flowers, and they're these little tiny yellow flowers. And so, yeah, the smell and the light is incredible, and the path opens up a little bit. And so you see more of the sky and the birds. And yeah, it was incredible. I was thinking, how do you describe these colors? With everything was kind of had a tinge of pink and gold, but then this overlay of silver. So it was almost like things were shining in a way. It was really, really interesting. And then we Remy and I kept walking down the path, and then we came across all the sand dunes. A lot of the sand dunes at the moment are covered. I think it might be saltbush, and they're all in flower as well. So there's these tiny little yellow flowers that are hitting the light, and they're not a yellow, they're not a silver or a pink. They're kind of this gold. They became this sort of shining gold color. It was just fascinating. So kept walking down the path, and then got down to the beach and turned down, and just water's shimmering and sort of got all these incredible colors. And then the sun it hasn't kind of got up over the headland of the beach. But once I get right down to the other end of the beach, I see these two sea eagles. And because they're on the horizon, when the moon's on the horizon or the sun's on the horizon, it makes the sun or the moon look huge. So the moon looked huge, but the sun wasn't quite up yet. But in this glow of pinks and red were these two huge sea eagles just circling around the headland. And they seemed really big. I don't know if it was some kind of illusion, because they were circling on the headland. And because they were against this pinky hue, they looked like they were kind of indigo blue or something. So everything was kind of a little bit nutty color-wise. I was kind of going, what's going on? All these really interesting colors. And anyway, it was a fascinating morning, a beautiful walk. And Remy, was doing his thing, and I had a swim. I usually have a swim most mornings, and it was beautiful. And then I was walking back and just thinking, and the colors were coming more and more kind of how they normally are, with the plants and the sky and the ocean and stuff. And I thought, and I arrived home and I thought, I've got to Google what is going on with these colors. And I couldn't find anything to describe these, pinks and golds with shimmery silver kind of overlay. I was looking, maybe I didn't type in the right description to track down the name of this color or the name of the hue that these two kind of solar bodies create. Anyway, I was thinking, I've got a friend who is going through one of the big greatest shifts in life, and I thought I might, if I can't find a name for this color or time, I thought I might name it. And because I was thinking, maybe I'll never see anything like this again. It could be one of those one-off colors that exist for, a couple of hours one morning, and that's it. So I was thinking I'd like to call it after my lovely friend Lucille, and call it Lucille's Gold. I thought that would be a great name to describe all these incredible colors I saw that morning. So anyway, I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else to mention. So I will, see you next time. And I like the name, Lucille's Gold. Okay, see you next time. Thank you. Bye.